I will call to order Thursday, August 15th, 2024 meeting of this local commission. Commissioners Walsh, Nardi, President, Jude Cole, Commissioner Sorzi, Walter Cole, Commissioner Niscar here. Anybody needs to take a minute, look at the minutes, go ahead. If not,
Please.
okay, take a minute. Who's on? Hey, Robert, how are you? Mary Chu Chuck, I see.
How you guys doing?
How you doing, Attorney?
You all set? Okay, I'd say motion for the minutes. So I'll move the accept the minutes. Second, as written. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Unanimous. All right, if anyone I said Chestnut Street, they're not here, so take a motion to continue to which date? September 5th. 9/5.
So,
The second. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Or abstentions? Okay. Thirty-four Western View, continued public hearings, anyone here from Western View? You could come up. I actually didn't do my little pre-game speech either. When you do call your application, you come on up, have a seat, give us your name and your residential address for the record. Have a seat.
Oh,
Have a seat, yeah.
Okay.
Just give us your name and address.
My name is Juliana too, and the address, of the property or,
No, where do you live?
oh, where I live,
Yeah.
60 Queens, Worcester.
Okay, and are you? This is an application for a certificate of hardship. This is the rate. You're. Solar, no, right now, this is. It's all, I got it, it's all mixed up and I only took one car.
Another question, are you representative of Trinity Solar?
A venture solar.
Venture solar.
Right.
Okay, well. I just have a question for you, one relative to the roof, I guess. Who put the roof on? What company put the roof on?
Sorry, let me double check. I believe they're called Owens Corning, but
Do you have direct knowledge of this file?
honestly, I
Yes.
do not. I'm kind of filling for someone who was supposed to be here, so,
Do you have any, is she able to speak? If she did.
I can read.
They have a letter, anyone from Venture Solar can speak on behalf.
Okay, it didn't have to be more specific. Okay, this is an application for certificate of appropriateness of 3234 Western Street regarding sleep to asphalt roof. when we had our first hearing, it was pictures, we were showing pictures of the roof of the slate, which you have in front of you there.
Yes.
Um, When was that slate removed and the new roof put on?
Has it been?
Yes, we did a slate.
Yes,
So the gentleman at the last meeting was from the same company.
yes, I mean, I'm filling in for him today, yes.
Did they give you any information other than the papers? I mean,
Um. He did tell me that there was a miscommunication, with the roof. We definitely should have gotten the approval before the removal, and that's as much as I know.
okay.
But he
He
did,
didn't, because you're representing him, so you're the one who has to hear all this. He completely misled us at the last meeting. He did not tell us the roof was on. He gave us pictures of what's supposed to be the present condition of the roof, so we agreed to go look at it, only to go out there. He didn't, and he knew we were gonna go look at it, and he didn't tell us. That doesn't reflect well, you might imagine, on the company. And then in subsequent investigation, we find out that whoever put the roof on did not pull the permit to do it. That's why I was asking if you have information regarding the company, or if it was your own company subcontracting somebody to put the roof on.
yeah, since our contract that he's doing.
So. That leaves me with two things, not really a dilemma, but two things I want to resolve. One is the appropriateness of the roof, so let's deal with that. Any commissioners want to jump in here with me relative to the site visit or the condition of the roof? As if this hadn't happened in the manner in which it did. What questions would we have asked? There's the new roof. And that was it's installed without a permit. And there's the solar, which we'd have to. When we came in front of us for the solar, the roof was not mentioned. And normally, when the solar company has an issue with the roof, they bring it up.
So I'm just gonna find out the location of the conduits.
Well, then, yeah,
That was kind of the other.
that was the other. Not gonna let me forget that one, right? So, yeah, I might go around in circles on this one for a couple of times because it's very difficult to sit and have them send somebody who had nothing to do with it. I really wish they had the guts to send somebody who had something to do with it to sit here. So let's go back to whether we would have approved it in this manner anyways. One thing we would not have approved is, in fact, it's on our certificate, correct?
Yeah.
That conduit would be inside. And I'm gonna, given the outcome of this, depending on the outcome here right now, I'm going to probably ask the commissioners that we make sure that conduit gets removed and put somewhere else. Under normal circumstances, if it was brought before us, the roof did look severely damaged, and we would likely have, I would have likely voted to allow it to be done. But nothing riles us more than when it was intentionally kept from us, and intentionally in the second meeting, I believe they just absolutely intended to mislead us. And that doesn't, it's not gonna make it. Can't say what I'm thinking right now, so let's get. So if this had been put in front of us correctly, and it had said we would like a permit to do this roof, I'm likely to have gone along with it. We can't undo the roof and make it look. Not unless you're the richest company in the world, you can't do that. But the conduit is still out of place to be placed on the lower front roof of the house as well underneath. You know, we actually got very specific about that conduit not being visible, it is visible. So. I'm not sure if you want me to add anything else to this. Okay, that was the answer.
Okay,
Did they tell you anything about what's gonna happen tonight? Did anybody warn you? They didn't even warn you.
this is my first meeting ever, so I'm sorry.
It's okay.
No,
That's what I tell you, I wouldn't want to be sitting there either, but we also know that it wasn't you that did this, so don't worry about that.
Okay,
Just, they gave you no further information than what's there.
right, photos and the, the scope.
But I am glad that you acknowledge that it was your own subcontractor that did this work without her. You know, if they have a separate company name, I'd like to have that too. It's good.
Is there, is there?
Yeah.
Is there another photograph of the new roof other than the one we just saw? From a different direction?
We have multiple that we
Because I'm asking because that panel seems to be extremely close, it's not touching the dormer.
Yeah, it's not separated. The clearance isn't what it should be.
Because that can really cause a snow problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. The second thing that I'm noticing is that the gutters. They could not have been left like that. If you notice, the gutters are pitched away from the downspouts. And the gutter in the middle looks like it's collapsing. So no roofer would finish the roof and leave them. So really, they burn the house.
Well, it looks like, actually, it looks like they might have other work to do, which they still haven't come in front of us for, but I don't know, I mean, things are left undone. Like there's some finished things that are left undone, so I expected that maybe there would be could get them to do another application. So. The first thing we gotta decide is if this had come before us, if we would have accepted this roof installation and the solar installation together. And I think I would have, you know, we would have been conditional on the solar being less visible. Now that. Well, there's the right there.
On the front. Yeah, that's pretty good.
So. Do I have to do this in two parts? Or can this-
What do you mean?
Well, actually, it is two parts. We have to approve or not approve the roof. And then go back and ask that the solar be changed, right? That's a separate case. The roofing, yes, well, it's up there. So do I have any commissioners that want to ask any questions?
So I do want, I'm sorry, before you ask a question, I just want to interject that we have sent out a stop work. We'll send out a stop work order in regards to the installation of the solar panels, how they've been installed, which goes against the approval of the commission.
Okay, so that's already, there's gonna be.
It's a process,
Yes, okay, great.
I just, since if you think of it as they're putting up this roof as one thing that we're that we are judging, then it seems to me if they've done inadequate work with the gutters and injured the house's long-term viability, that we need to address that in that motion.
It's not, it only can be what is on our pieces of paper, what they actually asked for. If we didn't mention what we said, go ahead with the solar, because we were talking about those, and we were talking about this.
Right.
Gutters are actually separate from our roof. And they would have had to ask in separate to do gutters. Or I mean, they included one application, but it would have to be separate. You know, this is just asking for the roof slate to ask them. It was already, as you can see, it was already done. So we can't add on like that, although I acknowledge that it looks like there's a lot of things around the edges of that house that we are not complete. Or we're not done properly, but we still can't, it's not to move forward on that. So, Commissioner.
During the meeting that the roof was truly appropriate, was there discussion about the valleys, would be the copper or?
So the roof itself, we never, the roof mounting.
It was never approved, the solar was approved.
Right, so
They
they
came asking to have the roof replaced,
right,
but it had already been replaced.
Because on a slate roof, obviously, the valleys are gonna be copper, the slate's not gonna be bent like.
And they don't solar.
So it was, yeah, the matter with the roof never came before you folks. It's all of the solar panels, so it was what came before us.
So we can't do anything about that, is that correct?
That's a move was already done.
Well,
Wait, what can't we?
so they never brought the roof up for our jurisdiction.
That's what this application is now coming asking to have it approved.
No, I didn't see that as,
That was from the last meeting.
this is the last meeting and they're just asking about the solar. I see nothing on the roof there.
So this discussion is about the roof material and
Yes.
installation.
So this is about the
Correct.
roof, so. They didn't word it properly, but basically, essentially, they said that they want
But nobody said.
33 square foot ribbon re-roof.
Yeah, but
So
that's
just-
more than 33 square feet.
Obviously, yeah.
Square,
Right.
33 square.
They were, yeah,
Each square is 100 square. Which is about
Right.
3,300 square.
33 square feet.
33 squares.
Yeah.
The roof is right, so a square is about 100 square feet.
Oh, I
Yeah, so-
understand.
So it would be about 3,300 square feet total.
So they did.
So the hard part right now is they have to get it out of my head with this irritating. You know, if you look at it, if it come in appropriately, here's what I noticed when we did site visit. It's not our house in the street, so it's. What's the last house in the street? And so you wouldn't, and the site pictures were sufficient evidence that it was a damage warrant. So I know that I would have approved. So we can't not approve it because when we would have, if we would have done approved it, then we still have to do it that way, unless there's some other reason we might not. We can't not approve it because of what they did.
So if they don't follow the procedures, we have no recourse.
Not if we would have, we still can look at it, we can not approve it, but it's not taking the roof. You can't get them to take the roof. But in this case, we would rather acknowledge that we would have allowed it to happen. Because I wouldn't, I maybe not do that, but I would. The solar, the company that did it is bothering me more than the fact that it got done. Because the company did it with their own subcontractor without a permit and they. And we still have no recourse under that either.
But you're also making a big assumption. We never got to see the roof. You're assuming that
Oh, no.
the roof was in poor shape.
Right.
We never had that opportunity
It
to
never-
agree,
it never
to
will.
say, yeah, you know what,
So-
it's not an appropriate, it's not a good.
Yeah, I mean, the pictures that we had were, I mean, it's not. You need to approve that type of thing in the past.
Yeah, but again, because you didn't have the opportunity, I think it's. More than likely, but I would say 100%, because you never had the opportunity to actually see it. That was not, you had opportunity, I understand that.
So, go ahead, Commissioner.
I just want to make this suggestion. This is a meeting to talk about the appropriateness of the new asphalt roof. Part of the appropriateness is its installation and the details. What do you plan to do? Do you plan to do what with the eaves? Do you plan to put flashing up the walls of the dormers like you would normally see? Or if they just,
Right.
this almost looks like it's card in the corner. So the answer to my questions are what I'm seeing. So the answer to my question about the valleys was, no, we're not going to put copper valleys. No, we're not going to put sheet roofing. We're going to lap the asphalt over the valleys. And my next question would have been, are you going to use some flashing? And the answer is, I can't tell. And is there gonna be a trim along the edge of this, because there would not have been with the original. So this is answering the questions. Do you accept the details that they were showing us, is what I think is we need to vote on.
So if they
It's
have,
not just how appropriate is the color, it's fair here, sorry.
so it's not just that, they would have brought us that plan for the new roof, which is this application. And we would have looked at that plan and found it inadequate because of those details that were not there.
That's what I'm suggesting.
This makes it a whole tougher thing. Again, because what we don't know is if it's all the regulations of the movie, so. We're never gonna find that out. And we can't, it's never gonna come off. Solar.
So what would we have done if we did approve the asphalt roof? And this is how it was done. What do we do in every other case where there were pieces missing?
But we gotta separate some things. It said it's safe to asphalt. It doesn't mean repairing needs, it doesn't mean doing good work, it doesn't mean anything. So it means whatever is the installation guidelines. For it, flashing is supposed to be somewhere, it's supposed to be. Put ice and water for the bottom parts and all the valleys, it would have to be all, that would be expecting a professional company to do it. Legally correct in statements, because they kind of don't go after those kind of details. When it hits us is when they say, and we're gonna fix the wood and we're gonna do this, and then we go after every bit of the details to make sure that they're not changing any of the things. So, I knew this would be a little complicated tonight, because of the order in which this happened. So, I can't, other than the a little conduit, that's a separate issue. We gotta have two separate things. One, that would be accept that they were able to remove the roof and put in one. I agree, you probably would have done the same as anyways. Right. And you would have seen the slate the way it was. And it does make a difference if there's no other house in the neighborhood. So, even though, you get borderline, that's a reasonable factor. And I'm on the position that I would have okay with this put in front of us. Now, anything they added onto that, like wood and things like that, then it's, we hold them to the whole other standard of replacement, repair and replacement correctly. So
What was the material they were suggesting? What company? GAF or what was the company? It's like.
You know,
What's the material?
The roof, did they give you that much? They didn't give you any roof.
They gave me the scope of the work. I don't know if it's canvas, but it says the installation of 8-inch aluminum drip edge on all eaves and rakes, color is white. Installation of plate boots on all plates. Installation of start shingles. Installation of Owens Corning HD duration Williamsburg gray architectural shingles.
That's that'll be.
That's all I.
Okay.
But I
That's
can.
good, yeah, no. Thank you.
So. Is there, Dave, commissioners have any other questions for the petitioner or in general, your statements in general? I still have to do the public hearing, so let me do that now. I'd like to open this public commentary. Does anyone here like to speak for or against this application for a certificate of appropriateness at 3234 Washington Street and install 33 square from slate to asphalt?
I'm against it, and I think that something else might be done here, like send an inspector out front, since they didn't get a permit for the roof to begin with.
Right, that's
Could you please just give your name and address?
Oh, I'm sorry, Harry Seymour, 68 Washington Road.
anybody else for or against? Go ahead, name and address.
Steve Mosky, 23 Green Lane, Springfield, Mass. I have to say what, is in my heart. I'd say I agree with Commissioner Nardi that you should have the authority because of the way it was mishandled to retroactively say, we're not going to accept the gutters as they are. We're not going to accept the woven valleys and basically hit them hard.
Thank you. Anybody else for or against? Seeing none, we'll close the public commentary. The good and the bad, sometimes our review is limited. This is one of them. It's limited to what's on the piece of paper. So we can't even look at the gutters or the woodwork or any of that stuff relative to this. You only one shot, you only get one shot at that, unfortunately. We have a stop work order going out for the, for this way, I mean, for the solar, and, I suppose we could stick on that, to have somebody check out the roof too.
We could throw the roof on there, if, let's say you guys deny the roof replacement, we could do a stop work order for that, but at the same time, I mean, you know.
Just.
Yeah,
just for the,
Well, I'm not against that for the record. Like I said, if they come in at the start correctly and we got to see and it's talking about all these little details, I mean, the way that it's there, would like me to approve. I say you both, I believe you should. But we have to get past that when we get to the second, because there's no judge in the world who will take that route. Oh, you know, and do anything like that. And I don't want them to have to. Want them to come here first and just tell us what they're doing, so that we can make sure that the little details are more accurate. That's what it's about sometimes. So those are mostly people that here before it's in the month. But the idea is just to try and get it, it's done as cleanly and appropriately and maintain as much historical detail as we can. So anyway.
Sir, as in other cases, if they don't quite get it right, sometimes we vote no and we come back. Additional details and.
That might be, that's absolutely right, no problem, that is just right. So, what the advantage, would it be your disadvantage, I'm not sure if. I'm not gonna, I was gonna ask a legal question, but I'm not. So, any other discussion, commissioners? No. Entertain a motion to accept the application for certificate of appropriateness for the removal of the slate and the installation of asphalt. Second, any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm gonna call it the roll call on this one. Commissioner Walsh, yes. Commissioner Mary,
No.
Commissioner Cole,
No.
Commissioner Zawinski.
No.
Commissioner Peter,
No.
Commissioner Ness.
No.
Okay. I'm not sure where that puts us, other than we did not approve the installation of any of this. Might reach out to attorneys, reach out to. So now we still have the issue with the solar panels, which clearly weren't installed according to the agreement that are. So we don't even need to have a vote to get this back.
No, it's already, yeah, or will be.
So. But I still think, maybe we should have a motion, maybe. For the corrections to be noted and repairs to be done to it.
Yeah, because the motion was denied, are we supposed to give a reason? Along with it.
Well, I think they have nothing reasonable.
Yeah, I was just offered the reason for the denial. So there was not sufficient detail or anyone here to look at answer our questions.
Yes.
Come on back. Come on back.
Okay.
And two, it was kind of, misleading, because the gentleman who was here before you, he made it clear to us that it wasn't even done yet.
He had every opportunity.
To test
Tell us
it,
that it was done.
and then when we go out for the site, visit, the whole thing. So,
What I'm suggesting is that the homeowner still has the opportunity, come on down and tell us what they're gonna do. We just, how can I say yes? When somebody's like, oh, we're gonna take the slate off and put asphalt on. Is it okay?
Well, I understand that, except that it's done.
Yeah, but
It's not gonna be undone, so.
Well,
Well, I don't know, so we voted no. Bear with us here, this is not what we're used to doing.
I have to give the homeowner the opportunity to come back and say, hey, why did you deny it? Then we can discuss it.
Okay, that's all, you got enough of that in there, sufficient? Yeah. So any other commissioners?
I think we can, we said no, and also in the reason is that we didn't have any information about how the move was done. Okay, that's what why we denied. We don't know what you did, and we didn't have a chance to give any input on that.
Okay, so that's sufficient. So let's move on to the solar. And the solar. Do you have a copy of the order?
No,
Is it
Not the stop work.
the certificate?
Yeah, certificate.
Yeah, we just pulled it up, so.
I just want to make sure what it says, even though I read it earlier.
Sure.
Okay, well, that's my signature. Installation of solar panels, locations describing attachment meters for will be located west of the side of the house towards the rear of the property, conduits to replace the lower front roof of the house as well as underneath the main roof of the house. Clearly,
Did not happen.
that didn't happen. Okay, well. Well, like.
I wouldn't create a motion because we already said no stop work. Plus it's not on the agenda. That's not even.
Okay, set a stop work order and then we'll change it when it gets up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Taking out there. Okay, the next one is 80 Fairfield Street.
That's what's on 80 Fairfield Street.
Eric Sunny, 83rd Street.
This is application. The certificate of hardship at 80 Fairfield Street to additional loan unit that ran to the back of the house, not a permanent structure. Okay, just fill us in on what's going on.
Recently, my sister and her husband moved in with us. And so he uses a wheelchair. And we need a way to get him to safely get in and out of the house. In the beginning, we used temporary ramps, but. Yeah.
So we have oh, there's a good
Yeah.
rendering right there.
Yeah. So we'll have it sit on the first step down, so he can just roll right out the platform, and then it'll stop just where the basement doors are.
Okay, this is the company doing this.
Mobile.
Harrington.
Yeah.
Guys.
Yes.
Okay, so this is minimally visible. This is the back of the house.
This is the back of the house. Yeah.
Back of the
we're
house.
back. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so are they removing steps?
No, it'll just sit
Oh,
right off.
right off of that?
Yeah, and come right off and then go down. So stop right there, yeah.
Right, well, which, that's fairly straightforward. It's now because it's temporary.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
expressed.
it's very often, yeah, very often in our that has to. Okay, I don't have any other questions for you guys. Any other commissioners have questions regarding this?
It will be there. That's a guesstimate.
There's no time.
Year, just year, year, yeah. And we'll definitely remove it as soon, you know.
Any questions? And no other commissioners have any issues?
Just an observation. There's 4 steps there. You can get into the house. And by code, a handicap ramp to that height would be 28 feet. So you have a total here of 25. It's gonna be a little steeper for someone in a wheelchair to be able to go up on his own. It's gonna almost require that somebody's helping.
Yeah, he can't.
He actually has trouble with his arms and his legs,
Yeah, okay.
so he.
But noted, I'll make sure.
But I mean, I'm sure whoever's doing it's gonna meet whatever codes required. I hope.
saying that because of yes, grant involved. Expected.
And you want to say for.
Right.
You want it right. So, there's no other comment, it's open up the public commentary, it's an application for the particular hardship, the Fairfield Streets. Would anyone like to speak for or against this application? Being none, we close the public commentary, make the team motion to accept the application for the particular hardship. Still move it. The Fairfield Street, addition of a woodland handicap ramp. And it's not a permanent structure, to be removed after the needs. When it's no longer being. That's the motion. You get a second on that? Yep. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? It's okay. All right, good.
Thanks so much.
You guys do any jumps, send pictures.
Okay.
Thank you.
Stay dry.
Okay, 8385 Thompson Street. How do you know, should they have an address for the record?
8385 Thompson Street, Board of Charter.
Okay. All right, just explain, tell us, this is an application for certificate of appropriateness at 8385 Thompson Street to replace all the rotten wood on the front porch, replace the front porch stairs with the non chain and the structure. Remove the first floor porch restoration. You mean the floor? What are you removing the entire porch?
Basically,
This says. For a third floor. Porch.
So I mean, the first floor porch, not including the second.
Right. Okay, so just.
Can you describe exactly?
Describe the scope of the.
Right, so basically what I'm trying to do is, see the little gap you see in the house, the aluminum is falling off. I believe I believe inside there, the wood is not, so the nails are coming down. So what I'm thinking about doing is taking that off and removing that wood there and replacing it with a new one. The structure of the house is not gonna change at all. So basically what we're gonna do is just remove all the pine woods and put new ones and put new aluminum covers on.
Yes, you told.
Yes, sir, they're staying, but the only thing we're gonna do, we're gonna remove the aluminum on it and put new ones on it.
Yeah, sure.
So the order, you mean the drain?
What I mean is, see those white floats, those are covers, aluminum covers. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, they're starting to run to.
Because the water is getting.
Yes, sir.
So the white posts are
Yes, sir.
under that is wood. You wanna take that off, replace the wood and put it back,
Yeah,
the aluminum?
yeah,
The same thing. With the gutters.
Like these, same thing with this, these little,
yeah.
same thing.
Yeah,
So all material, any of the shape. Remove that and you're replacing with the same material.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
The
then,
only
Keep
thing,
the flooring as well. if I'm-
yeah, that's a good question though. That flooring is gonna be changed for composite wood. Yeah,
Is that the, oh, granite, your package?
The description isn't really clear to us. I want to make sure that the details are. Clear. So replace all the rock wood into one porch.
You're replacing the column behind the aluminum
yeah. And,
and the floor.
and there's some
The
in
steps
the
as
roof
well.
as well.
Yeah.
Where it is
all
right.
those,
And the stairs.
One change the structure. So when this is done. We'll look at, it's gonna look exactly the same.
Yeah,
Things that,
no, should not.
these are already aluminum. which is
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never seen that before, but if that is there, we are allowed to repair it, leave it there.
But is the wood you're replacing going to be that shape or just square or something? So,
I mean, if I could get that shape, it would be awesome.
but because if you made it that shape, you don't need to put the aluminum back up. You could just paint it wood.
Yeah, but the thing about the paint things, the maintenance, you gotta probably gotta paint that every year. That's like probably not with the stairs.
The reason why I brought it is because they covered it with aluminum.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, so a couple of things we gotta figure out is more detail on, if you take rotten wood and replace it with the exact same kind of wood, that falls under non-applicability. Well, that's nothing changes, so if it look any different, it's nothing different. So even though we haven't decided on the details here, just remember that if you're gonna do anything that's gonna make. Like, you don't get the picture of the house back. Yeah, you can see that that's deteriorating, needs to be maintained, but that one right there is fine. But that all these, any of the wood, anything, it's gonna look exactly the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Okay, so the floor, now the steps are they all rotted as well? So you're gonna keep the pipe rail
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it background.
and the steps will be the same size and design and material.
Yeah, the step is gonna be compressing wood.
So both the steps and the floor.
So I guess that's the question. Is there a brand? Is there a model? This looks like a sample of like what composite wood might be.
Yeah.
It doesn't really show like what are the steps gonna look like? What's the tonguing groove gonna look like?
Because there are some that we have just used that was the tiny, closely mimicking real wood. I'd be looking to just have to get before people have a room for it.
No, I was waiting to, after that I grew, so I could just go over there and try to find a good set material. And that's.
This doesn't tell us, right? It doesn't tell us the size, the thickness, the finish of the. Because it actually would like this would be appropriate for that. Or other stairs, you know. Stairs is a different. What are the stairs made out of now? They're just regular. Questions, any commissioners? No.
We don't have an actual material.
No.
It's just, okay.
No, this is, unfortunately, this is. I don't have enough information. So what we need, and apologize. Sometimes slowly, but we need more specifics about what's going to be replaced. The exact material that you're going to use to replace it, including the exact type of material. Okay, so composite that. The stairs, stairs, what material would be used for the stairs, because it has to mimic, or it has to be the regular wood that you're using, or it has to mimic it so close you really can't tell from the street. And there are some products that do that fairly well.
So quick question, is say if I decide to change my mind and just change it with regular wood. Do I don't have to ask for permission to do it?
That's a great question.
Because you just told me that if I'm replacing by wood.
Right, if you were replacing the stairs with exactly the same kind of wood, just doing it. You can do that. Okay, but we have to get it, I mean, because you have this application in. Shall we read it one more time? I want to make sure we give you enough information to. Replace all the rotten wood on the front porch, it's kind of open ended.
All right.
But I of course told you if you replace it with the same wood, same exact type of shape, same type of finish. The problem we find is sometimes we okay wood, but it looks different, or it's thinner, or it's thicker, it's gotta be really the same. So that you can't tell the difference. And then front porch stairs, No change in the structure. We remove the entire first floor porch. Are you meaning the first floor?
The
Porches, the columns. This doesn't say,
Maybe it should say replace columns.
remove all the entire first floor porch. Restore all.
So technically.
I think it's because it really was
Small
clear
one
to us
says-
exactly.
That's why I say remove the first.
So you guys have a list of the material you gotta accept, so I have to go right there for this. I'm not saying.
You would have to choose something yourself and then provide like a sample, come in with a sample of whatever material you decide. to
So
do.
if I'm taking it, then I'll never get it, then I have to wait until I get the right.
Or you can go with different options.
Or the other option would be that if you went with what is currently on the building, so if you went with the same kind of floorboards that are in there, same material, same design. Same material, same design as the stairs, when you came to us, either Alan or myself. We could issue what's called certificate of non-applicability, which you don't have to go before the commission for approval, because you're just replacing with same design, same material, same length.
Changing the material that probably should have to be, or if there's a design.
So if you decide you want to withdraw your application, that's up to you, but otherwise, if you keep your application on file. Then you would have to come in again with a sample by the composite that you would need for.
And I decide now, or just.
Can he
Oh, yeah.
amend the application now? Excuse me, I didn't.
Go right ahead.
That's up,
Please.
if he wants to withdraw, that's up to him.
Yeah, I'm gonna to withdraw, because if I can replace the right wood,
Or I'm sorry, well, so as opposed to withdrawing, you could amend it to non-applicability, but you would have to state on there that you're gonna replace, or state to the commission that you're gonna replace it in like kind wood.
yeah, because I mean, I believe that's a safety concern, and I got little kids, so.
Well, maintenance can certainly turn into a safety concern.
Where they don't want to go up and down the stairs, and not improving something that can.
Yeah, and it's already been. Most things have been replaced.
The only issue is it can't be like a pressure treated wood, it would have to be like a pine type wood, so.
It has to be, it has to be. Appropriate. Portrait, it can't be, you can't make a deck out of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It has to be planning room, has to go in the same direction that it is there. Sometimes people change the direction of it, which is. Actually, it's a historic detail, so you don't have, any historic detail you change, you gotta come see us. So if you feel like you're gonna, if you're gonna tell us that this is all gonna be done with. The same, all the same dimensions, all the same material. That you have right now, then I could ask you to change that right there. That part right there, get rid of, scratch that one out and get the bottom one for next to that applicability. And we can take a quick vote on that. We don't need a public hearing. So, all right, it's suggestion of that is gonna replace all the rotten wood in the front porch and stairs or all the like. The same material, the same dimensions, and therefore falls under non-applicability. Anybody else have any questions for the musician?
Only that you haven't said anything about the columns that he wants to take the aluminum covers off. Replace the structure inside and put the aluminum back.
Well, that actually falls under non-applicability as well.
Because it's
already there, and it's just if he repairs the inside, puts the same outside, it's the same. So those, everything you said can be done, but just the composite is the only thing that you don't use composite, you have to come back.
Yeah.
And find some reason that, just bring us, look at your samples, you can make different types of wood, and it's two different composites for the deck, it's there, two different composites. Okay, so for now, we're gonna just, the same wood, the same.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd entertain a motion to accept this application for certificate of non-availability in 35 Thompson Street. So. Okay, is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? No, so it's okay. So just remember that when you change, okay, you're gonna change the design. If you find anything that's gonna look different or different material, I'll do that here. All right?
I think, Commissioner.
Yeah,
Good night.
you're right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, 49 Chestnut.
They don't even know. Please do. If you want, keep going to reading of the scripture. Don't mind that, summons.
Okay, this is an application. Different hardship, remove existing steel stack windows, infill window, and we got a limestone to do the next existing. Wall. The application is a new placement, storage steel stack windows, very expensive. Very protection of the art collection, so I maintain a solid wall. And windows. Okay. What do you got?
Well, I'd like to start off and then kind of just give the overall technical and the description of what we're proposing.
Yeah.
And then Sean's going to give some of the more detailed things related to the actual price of the windows. Because we did ask for a certificate of hardship. And if we could stop here, you can rotate it, good, yeah, so it's just one more time. Okay, so this is the drawing done by our office, and the top rendering is the side of the museum. By the way, this is the side that faces towards the, Girdle Garden. And on the top section are the existing windows rendered in blue, and the rest of the facade is limestone, Indiana limestone. And in the bottom, you see what we're proposing. So we're keeping some of the windows where it's appropriate, where there's an office or some other public function that would not cause damage to the artwork behind the windows. And where the windows, the current large bank of windows on both the first floor and the second floor, what we're proposing is to remove the windows and to infill them with limestone. Just a little bit of a background here. Sean and I were discussing it before. There's a, I don't want to get into the details, but I'll just say, just so that no one feels that there's any fast ones or we didn't tell you this or whatever, then there's a, no, seriously, there's a, the quadrangle when they established going way back to the 70s. The quadrangle and the Springfield diocese said, wait a minute, we don't want to be in that group, and they weren't. And so they up to the point where they accepted CPA money to put these windows in, they weren't required to come before this commission. So maybe I just wanted to get that off just so that no one says, hey, why didn't you tell us this before? However, going back to the details, we're going to basically for security and light penetration. The reality is, and we submitted some other pictures that all of these windows, I think all the windows are blocked from the inside of the museum currently. And so as a historic architect, I feel this is appropriate, even though we're justifying it with the hardship, which the next slide will show if we can reorient that. There's a lot of information here, but it's a fairly major project. So just in general, in the very first sentence is, $875,000, and that's an estimate on an exact quote, and that's for all the windows. And as you can see from that drawing, that the majority of the windows are on the two sides, one facing Turtle, the other facing the Episcopal Cathedral.
Interesting thing about this is the windows themselves now, as you can see, not only do they have lead, but they also have asbestos.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
So when we were looking at this large bank of windows and receiving money from the CPA, to replace in kind rather than trying to restore them because restoration would be astronomically expensive because of that. Looking at the view of this, only a fraction of this light is actually seen inside the museum. When this museum was built, light was the only option, outside light. We didn't have regular light bulbs or anything like that, so that was how they viewed art. Now, windows are taboo. They're incredibly hard to manage HVAC, humidity. We have to keep consistent 70 degrees, 50% humidity throughout the galleries to maintain that. So all of these windows, except for a fraction, you can't even see in the museum. So to look at the exorbitant expense of replacing the windows in kind that absolutely go nowhere.
Yeah,
You can't see them.
Like that, I understand that is that. What I'm having a problem with is what's it gonna look like when you, very often when you take a window out and replace it, even if it's the like same material, it just looks like it filled up a window.
Well, I think in recessing it back a couple of inches keeps the mirror of where the windows used to be. We're not trying to hide the fact that there wasn't a window. You're still gonna have those shadow lines. Some of these trees will still disguise the facade, but we're gonna accent that with exterior murals. It's still an art museum. It's not gonna, we're not gonna hide that. The Indian limestone is very particular. In some areas, the museum would use limestone from Canada. It wasn't quite as particular. In this case, it's Indian limestone. We can source it.
And one other detail that I don't know if we mentioned specifically, but it's on the drawing. If you would scroll back, and you don't have to go back to the drawing, but there's a, you can see the striations. If you look closely at the limestone, there's a pattern. You can see it's horizontal, very strong. And we're gonna
Blow up that, put down the corner.
The bottom.
yeah, and we're gonna replicate that. Even though unfortunately in the PDF it only came partially through, but you can see on the top, that's the intent. Is that the stripes in the existing facade are going to be replicated in the indent. And we are going to preserve the original window openings by recessing the new limestone veneer. About an inch, actually.
The museum has also hired a historic mason. We're taking on staff just to keep the museums historically correct, doing all the work the right way. You know, the museums try to do everything in the correct way.
Is there anything that would show, I'm having a hard time seeing what it's gonna look like and what commission, what's it gonna look like?
Right.
So it's very hard for me to look at that and make sure
Unfortunately,
that real life.
that
What it's
drawing,
gonna look like when I look at it, like, you know what it looks like now, it looks like there's a window bank that's got a lot of deferred maintenance. What I can't vision is what's that facade gonna look like when you're done, I can't
This is
see
the
that.
top of the facade. That's actually.
But visually, like, I can kind of
If you look at-
visualize this, is
okay.
there anything, is there a side of the building now that
no,
doesn't have a window bank, is there, I can't visualize what it's gonna look like other than
well,
you're gonna
I
have.
mean, one thing,
I'll
I
have
don't know
to-
how it could, if you
If we take the
If
picture,
you,
the front
if you
picture,
zoom in on that picture on the left,
is here.
yeah, if you zoom in, it was, when we took the picture, it was adequate. You can't really, unfortunately, it's, yeah, so you can kind of see. And you can just barely make out the horizontal, but if you're standing there in real life, it's very
It's gonna
distinct.
look like that.
The stripes,
Yeah, we're not gonna end the lens.
But you're gonna
yeah,
push it
and
in
if you can,
like a waffle.
yeah,
Exactly.
Are you hungry?
Right.
Yes.
So all the entire side of the building.
well, if you go back, yeah, except for,
And in actuality, in the front of the MFA on Chestnut Street side, they have two windows that are like that. They use only make carvings inside the window. They represent the upper windows here. These are actually live windows, but the upper windows are actually set. So it's not something that's common that they would do.
Just that it's a big change. Visually, it's a very
Visually,
big change.
yeah, it is. And it's a significant financial impact to that as well.
I understand the hardship, it's a huge thing too, and also the impact of light coming in through fragile artwork. But the visual is very striking, you're going from, very ugly looking windows to a blank wall, basically it'll have that subtle waffle effect. You mentioned murals, and I have seen historic and art buildings in which the old facade is actually placed on the new as a mural because of issues that it cannot be replaced. So you mentioned that, but and we're, as I understand, we're not in charge of paint, but.
There was nothing, there wouldn't be anything painted on that. It's not-
Right, but it's
And paint
just
is
a great,
controlled in this district.
so it's a great big blank wall with wall pattern.
Right. That is the in-kind replacement windows that we installed on the front of Chestnut Street side.
Is there any? I think that's also, I'd like to say, that's pertinent information. In other words, it's basically, the way I'd like to present it to the commission is, there's limited resources in the world. And the museum doesn't have the money, or it's gonna take them maybe 5 to 10 years to gradually replace these extremely expensive windows. They're over $10,000 a piece. And then you say, why did I do that? In today's world, nobody has, and why are you throwing money at this? And you don't need a window. What's for security reasons, it's better. But to the museums, with my guidance, I would say, we're not completely flying in the face of historic appropriateness, even though we are justifying it with hardship. Because on the front facade, the Chestnut Street facades that you just looked at, and on the quadrangle facade, the windows are gonna be in-kind replacements, because there's so few of them. But on these two sides, this is like almost 80% of the windows on the two long sides. That's why we're asking for this relief. And then you can see, just look at the picture, if you go back to the overall view, the staining on the limestone, and I mean that. Yeah, you did have a photo of the chilies thing. Yeah, well, yeah, this one, okay, yeah. So that shows, there's unlimited number of things that would not just it's not just this building, but the entire collection of buildings at the quadrangle. And that's why I feel, it undoubtedly is a large change. However.
Then you have the lead, you have the asbestos. you
Right.
have all those things.
Yeah, so the longer it takes,
This is right,
it's a challenge.
is there no other option? I know they need to be blocked up, that's not like, is there any other option for either faux windows or some other design that shows windows? I know there's options, by the way, I'm just wondering if you guys have looked at it.
Yeah.
Relative to. Just making these, you see both of these sides just turning into.
Well, we replaced the front windows with in-kind replacements with Hope's windows, which was the windows that, yeah, that's a small portion of all the windows that. That was inside the lower gallery.
See, right, I fell over. Whoops, where are they?
We explored different avenues for the windows originally, trying to restore, possibly restoring those windows, but.
No, I understand that completely, that's what I'm thinking about.
I think what I heard is that you can't allow the light to come into the burn.
Exactly.
Right,
So the problem is it has to be solidified some.
Yeah.
but everything's blocked out already.
Everything but that small portion up there, and the vice president of art and museums doesn't want that there either. And that is the absolute only piece of light that comes from anywhere in the museums. We did, and that wall that you're looking at, the large bank window,
We did look into one, I actually, in discussions with Alan, we had another alternative, but we dropped it because it wasn't practical. I thought, well, what if you take out all the glass
and just repaint the old steel sash and put it in with no glass. However, that's not practical because each one of those single panes of glass, those were all real separate pieces, unlike the modern windows. And they were all sealed in with asbestos caulk. So that goes through the roof and
Yeah,
it just isn't practical.
So we had somebody last week, the storage company, full windows, to make the facade work, and some things they eliminated. But to keep the aesthetic, instead of replacing the window, they didn't want the window. But to make it fit, they did a full door, they did a full window, they didn't do it in all the places, but they did it on parts that were very visible. So it was still blocked out on the inside, which gives you the functionality you want. Which,
This is what.
something on the outside, it still keeps the
That's it.
visibility and matches what's there, so maybe you don't have to do every single window.
We did
across.
that on the front of the Chestnut Street
Yeah.
side, and all of those windows, the lower bank windows, don't go anywhere, they're gallery.
Yeah.
We did
So
spend the
that's-
money on that because it's the visible part of the museum.
Black glass.
No, they put a tint on the back to make sure that we're not getting that see-through, the upper windows, the upper three, you can see. And it'll look just like, see how the inset, obviously there's a little more detail. That's what we're looking at on the other side, but just not that detail.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner. If you permit me. I think this is what happens, if I'm hearing what you're saying. This is what it looks like now.
Yeah.
That's correct. If they take the limestone, I think I heard you say recess it back an inch.
Inch or 2 inches, yeah.
But they recess it back 2 inches, then you still get that. Shadow line, and it would look like this. I think that's it.
And the Indian limestone has a very distinct look, it has marbling from where it was cut, so you see a lot of fossils. It's not, when you get up close, it's still ornate, you can feel it and touch it. It's not like a concrete wall or a block wall, where you're like, wow, that's just a blank wall. It still has a texture and a feel to it.
But the bottom windows, it looks like that's just filling.
Both of those are just upper and lower, there's nothing behind.
No, it's not behind.
The
I can, see it, studying these, they have their own.
yeah, leaving all those,
That's a detail that's gonna remain. Down here, it's just a bank of windows.
Because it's a large
It's just gonna be. So,
yeah,
I don't know, any other questions? Go ahead.
I think what we're trying to suggest, and this may not be possible, what the company did that tried to capture as much as they could is that they found doors and windows from the period and they installed those instead over a bricked in area. Okay, so it was a faux door, had no purpose, it's a decorative. What we're suggesting is that you might think about some sort of decorative thing that gave the sense of the original building more than just the recess. The recess looks a little, I'm sorry, like, mausoleum kind of look. So it's and I'm sure the limestone's gorgeous, but is that anything that would be something that you could think about?
I mean, I can answer to that. I mean, it's. The bottom line is money. So if you're gonna. Take out the window, it's got asbestos, you have to abate it, and then you're gonna fill it in with limestone, that's a certain cost. And at that point, you're about half the cost of just taking out the windows and replacing them fine. So you pay 50%. And now you got $870,000 to put new windows in front of this blocked up limestone. That
It wasn't
that
suggesting
doesn't make sense.
new windows.
Yeah, but I would like to say that we are doing it, it's just in a smaller portion. They're prioritizing the Chestnut Street facade, which is almost all completed now. And the quadrangle facade is gonna remain with the original design. The two sides are gonna be, and they're not completely blank, as we showed in the window, the rendering. There are gonna be 3 or 4 windows, and they're gonna be nothing compared to what's in the town. But that's why it's a hardship.
Right.
And
But in case, yes.
We'll be active.
Yeah. Right.
So did you look into like big faux windows and like maybe using a spandrel sort of material to still give a window, but not allowing the light in?
We were looking at things that would have been period and would have been, I mean, we want it to look right. I mean, doing, these windows are a steel, the windows that we're putting in are a steel window. Manufactured by Oaks Windows, who 99% would have manufactured the existing windows that we have now. So we're not looking to skimp on the project. But overall, looking at what we're doing and receiving money from the CPA to do the work. It's not practical.
What's the difference in the price between the stone and the-
Well, we think we could save about, we could do the work for about 30% over what we would do it for all the windows and do everything. So I'm estimating this bank of windows.
Yeah.
If we were. Remember, I can still take the windows out with asbestos. I'm
Well, no,
looking at
my
about
question is
90,000 just
relative
for
to
that.
everything. All of that come out and you put it in the windows versus all of that comes out and you do stone. What's the difference in those two prices?
250 compared to 650.
I know you want that exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, that's why we're hiring, we hired a historic mason to try to keep those costs low. We have a grant from the CPA for this facade for about 300, so we were trying to get it done in that.
I'm thinking of it, what's more simplistic, you guys are.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes here, because I'm picturing that wall with, and I'm gonna use the word faux windows. You do the stone, even set it a few inches, but on top of that inset is just what looks like a window frame with black, just something that looks.
But with all due respect, I mean, that's a change. There are no full windows on the thing now, and what is a full window, what is it made out of?
You know what
To
I
meet
mean?
the budget.
Yeah,
would have to
it's,
be like-
it's tough because the windows that we have now are letting in.
No, but if you were to get a steel frame window. A new window without any glass in it, it's about, I mean, it's still off, it's still over the cost of the.
I still think you know my question.
It's, the change is very dramatic and I'm not hearing an accommodation other than it's very expensive. I'm not hearing anything in the middle.
But I think that we,
I think that's that
Yeah.
everybody's trying to like,
I understand the middle ground is hard.
because it's such a dramatic change and you're going from all to, you're gonna basically have 3 windows, right?
One other thing that I'm just. If you allow me, just because it's such a. You know, throwing out ideas, you want to go a different type of stone that's a little darker, so that you would still preserve the openings, but it's stone. And it doesn't look so blank because there's light limestone, and then there's a darker limestone or a granite or some other kind of. That's.
A rendering or something like that would help us.
Yeah,
It's
So
almost
we could really see what it would look like with the change.
right? You're trying to keep it up authentic and
Yeah.
and it's hard.
I feel embarrassed because we did do a color rendering, but somehow it's not on that screen right now.
I mean, the renderings, while they never accurately want,
Yeah.
at least give us something to look at. Right now, I'm having a hard time thinking that this is gonna be any historic property at all, if you just take all windows out. Without some, without something else, the offset, what you just said may be better than what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But it's, the way it's been presented right now is not working.
Yeah.
And I'm only speaking for me.
Right.
You know, I mean, we can vote on it if you'd like, or you can look around a little bit more and maybe see if you can get us a better rendering of what it might be, so it's easier to. And these are the least, the less visible sides, I understand.
Yeah, the opportunity was
And
that.
I understand that all those windows should be blocked anyway for the sake of the art museum.
And that's really the essential part.
That's the essential part, not to us,
Right.
unfortunately. Unfortunately, what they put in front of us.
So it's whatever it's like.
It's only what it looks like from the outside. I understand all the other logistics.
Yep.
So my question was.
Because that largest bank of windows, we, with Valerie and Heather Haskell and Vice President. We want to change, we want to have that whole side represent and be more options. So if we were going to take that facade, especially that whole bank of windows. We were talking about panels and making an exterior, changing an exhibit. or we would have something designed to go in that space. So we certainly don't want to leave it this blank wall of nothing, but we certainly can't hang it all into, and to spend $600,000-700,000 to put the glass there, whatever.
If
So
I
it's
could make
either-
a suggestion, we could table or postpone the vote. Because I think, I mean, we should get you the rendering, because unfortunately, we spent time doing it, but it didn't translate. All the colors got dropped.
Seems to me
Resolution.
you brought decent renderings into us.
Oh, yes.
So,
And
this
it's,
isn't.
we could actually, research too is,
Yeah, what's
There you go. Hold on. Here's what's there now. Here's if you match the limestone. And here's if the limestone is darker.
Or any other shade.
Or any other shade.
Because I would.
yeah, we could actually
would
bring
appreciate
some
that
samples
taking
of stones.
So we could just get more information. before
Yeah.
this.
I have one question, sorry.
Please, no, we can.
Just looking at the drawing, are you taking out the sills or are they staying? Okay, cause I'm not, okay. I thought you said
I
that.
mean, the bottom almost looks like you could blend it in like the wall with all these shapes. Oh, that big glass, it almost looks like you could do that. The upper windows, but either way, I just apologize, I don't have enough information to, I think. I appreciate you suggesting we could come back and let's give us different renderings. And we do understand it all. I understand the inside part, the outside is the other part of the problem is we're only, we can talk.
Well, here's like just a theoretical. We could have an aluminum panel, you could take a picture, and it would look exactly like from one period of time. At one angle, it would look exactly like those windows do now, but it would be aluminum and it would be a fake panel. So. What's your view? Is a real granite, or excuse me, a real limestone that replicates the facade? Or is a fake aluminum panel that's a faux window, is that better?
Well, that's a great question, because sometimes the stone might be the right answer, and sometimes the window is the answer. Many people have done it over the years, but this is a different, idea.
Yes, just something to, I studied architecture and, there were a lot of these style buildings, you could mention these days, back in the 40s and so forth. And there were many times where there were places that had change in elevation depth.
Right.
There was no window. But it had to be so that they were repetitive to make the design. So maybe in areas where it's repetitive, it would work with the limestone. Once you try it.
Yeah.
I will, you can see it right there. I'll go back to the next one. See the repetition? It's the repetition, they used to call them, points, like in music.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't lose the repetition of the windows, then the style stays. Yeah, do something that.
So, even a little bit of still, or like you can say, a hesitation. I would entertain a motion to continue this application to the September 5th meeting, just to give me a chance, or give us some rendering. Is there any other ideas you might think of?
Well, actually, let me ask this, because I mean, the intent is to reach a conclusion that everybody's satisfied. Sure. Would it be helpful if we brought in several options, but they're all within the budget range of what the museum is trying to do?
Anything you bring us.
So in other words, like an aluminum panel, but that's a change to the facade. There isn't any aluminum.
Right.
Excuse me, this is, I believe, their original rendering.
Okay, yeah, it still doesn't look as good as what they have. It's a small piece, but
Well,
You are,
that's a little better than what I was seeing.
yeah.
You're carrying the lines all the way across.
It's worth the seeing.
I mean, we show just a very subtle distinction, but maybe we can also do another option where it's darker, and then There's lighter stones, darker stones, lighter stones, so it looks like windows.
It's probably gonna be hard to find the exact limestone match anyways.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. So
You're gonna have some sort of variance.
as long as you guys don't mind, I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind at all that we, that we go to the September 5th meeting with some ideas, that really hash it out here. I know what you're after, we know what you want, and we just have to know that we've explored whatever the, you know, is the best option we can come up with for historic preservation, that's all. So, again, I would entertain a motion to continue to the September 5th.
So second.
Any kind of discussion on that motion?
Question.
Yeah, sure.
The MFA was not in the historic committee when I went for the CPA for the approval. Put in front of us. So when we went to pull the permit afterwards, in chicken before the egg, I came back to you and put the DMFA back in the store. Then we pulled the permit. And then they said, we don't have the historic committee's approval for those windows. So then that's why I added to this as well, because it was chicken before the egg about doing any kind of replacement windows rather than restoring the old windows. So how do you want me to handle it?
You created a need to come to the.
I created a need.
You're replacing the exact thing in kind.
Yeah.
I just want to be up and like, yeah, so I'm gonna come back for,
But the hardship's real.
the hardship's real, it's a lot of money. It's
And that's one of my favorite
Stack.
buildings. In the park.
I mean, the front facade
When
alone,
I bring it up the most, not from the outside, though.
that facade alone with repair, with removing the windows.
Vote for a minute, yeah. I do have a motion on the floor, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Negations? This is, yeah, it's to continue, continue to 9/5.
Just to give you, if you look at the front side of Chestnut Street, and it's about, you know, it's
No, they.
$183,000 per 8 minutes. Okay. For 8 minutes. Then you look at the side, we're gonna dig into. We don't want to look it up. It's not like we're talking about $50,000. That's what, and I was like looking at, it, and Steve and I met several times to look at this and go, what is our real option? Because taking money or receiving money from generous support from the CPA is great. And how do we make that money go as far as possible? Because I mean, we're willing to hire an historic mason to do the work to make it as best we can.
Right there, you can see those lines better.
Yeah. And that's,
But well, since we're out of the application, we can't actually open it again today, not until then. But I think we know what we're trying to get to.
Yeah.
We just gotta see it, we just gotta see it a little clearer.
Thank you.
We have one more item.
Thank you.
thank you. Oh, see you in September.
Thank you, yes.
See you in September.
There could be a movie.
Yeah.
Song. This 101 state is being removed.
So they've asked to be removed off the agenda, as, the petitioner has been unable to get a letter of authorization from the property owner to represent on, I can't recall if it's Verizon or if it's one of those companies.
Well, you have to take no action.
So, yeah, you guys will take no action. Yeah.
Is there anything else? Speak up, Harry, you gonna talk to us tonight?
No, I don't think so. What a fascinating meeting. It was just so interesting tonight, and there were, you know, so many things to juggle and to try to figure out how to please everybody. And,
Well, there's no doing that here.
reality show.
That should be, yeah.
All right.
Have a good night, guys.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
So,
All in favor?
Bye.